months, Mr. Yunus's interim government has turned the country into how it used to be. He has made no attempt to reconciliate between different political factions. He has literally freed the terrorists who were convicted of terrorism-related charges, rapists who were convicted by criminal courts. The country is in the hands of a small group of criminal masterminds. He himself claimed that it was part of his meticulous design that has toppled the government.
Thank you for doing this with us, Mr. Chowdhury. I just want to start straight with asking you the most obvious question about the last year coup. It's been 15 months since the overthrow of Sheikh Hasina's government. Much has happened in the past 15 years. How do you see the current situation in Bangladesh and what has happened in the past 15 months? What are your insights into it?
Thank you for connecting me to your channel today. So you've asked me what has happened in the last 15 months. We've all seen what has happened. Bangladesh was an emerging economy, a stable country with religious harmony amongst all the ethnic and religious groups. It was seen as a model case for development across the world. What has now become of Bangladesh is basically that it is going back to how the Western US diplomat Henry Kissinger once said that Bangladesh could be a basket case, a bottomless basket case. It seems like those who are in charge are trying to turn Bangladesh into what it used to be in the 80s and the 90s, an aid-dependent, unstable country with instability across the country, deep-rooted, very difficult socio-economic circumstance, widespread poverty. So this is how it was in the 80s and the 90s. So for the last 15 months, Mr. Yunus's interim government has turned the country into how it used to be. He has made no attempt to reconciliate between different political factions. He has literally freed the terrorists who were convicted of terrorism-related charges, rapists who were convicted by criminal courts. I'm not talking about the political dissidents or politically charged individuals. We can discuss about them later, about the charges they were convicted from. But the country is in the hands of a small group of criminal masterminds. He himself claimed that it was part of his meticulous design that has toppled the government. He was able to unite the anti-Bangladesh forces, the political dissidents, as well as liberal elements in some hodgepodge political understanding in order to overthrow the government of Sheikh Hasina. What started was a simple protest movement, eventually became an uncontrolled riot in which people were targeted and shot by sniper rifles, which one of his advisors have publicly mentioned that police didn't have such lethal weapon to kill the protesters, and these things have happened. And after he had taken charge on the 8th of August of 2024, he wanted to uproot the entire secular liberal political ecosystem of Bangladesh, from the grassroots to the top. It is not just about our leader Sheikh Hasina. It is also about the liberal elements of our society, such as musicians, for example, or actor actresses, Sufi shrines who have been known to be very liberal in their practice of religion Islam, ethnic minorities from Chittagong hill tracts to the plain lands, and most importantly, the religious minorities, our Hindu community, the Buddhist community, as well as the Christian community. So they feel vulnerable in their own country now. So the way he wanted to portray it as that it is just a purge against Awami League, which he never denied, because he wanted to purge the party itself. Although, I mean, if you were to hypothetically consider that somehow responsible for certain things, certain allegations, but it was the people in government that you could just try and see what they have done, but not the activists, not the average grassroots level activists. They had no say in how the government was running. So he had arrested hundreds of thousands of our activists, journalists, professionals, and put them in jail without trial for the last 16 months. So the whole of the country has now become a jail.
This is what I want to ask you, Mr. Chowdhury. You were the part of the cabinet when this coup happened. You have seen things very closely, and you, in the past 15 years, you had the ample time to reflect on what went wrong. Who, in your view, was responsible for all this? And do you see any mistake on part of your government, like the use of force that was used during the protest? Can you tell us a bit on that?
Yeah, see, when law enforcement is attacked with lethal weapon, and their police stations are burned, and their members are killed in large numbers, targeted by these extreme elements, they're not going to sit down and wait for government order as to what type of weapon they will use. So they had to respond. The question is whether that response was reasonable and proportionate given the situation. Now, in no way I find their responses were unreasonable and disproportionate. When you have members of the police forces being burned to death, a pregnant constable of the police begging for her life, and saying that she's carrying a baby in her womb, and she should be spared from this criminal, crazy, lunatic gangs, and she was burned to death. When you face such kind of horror, what do you expect from the law enforcement agency? Given the sheer mammoth scale of the attack across the country, and especially around the Dhaka city, they had no other option but to do what they did. And if they were repressive, they were disproportionate, and if they were hell-bent on crushing all kinds of protests, we wouldn't have been in this situation, to be honest. And from the very beginning, we were tolerant. We saw it as a legitimate demand for job quota or getting rid of it. It was a matter that was decided in the High Court, and the next hearing date was pending. And being in the executive part of the government, we didn't want to say that we will interfere before the court has decided. If the court, and we had assured to the public that if the court decides that the quotas must be reinstated, then we would pass laws to rectify that, because it was our government which took the decision to get rid of the quotas, in fact, and the court reinstalled it. So if you are talking about our mistakes, it was in general mistakes, perhaps in terms of not taking preemptive action and not realizing that such a sinister plan was on card, and they were all fully prepared. That was the mistake, I would say, was our mistake, not preemptively taking action. But when it comes to our actual actions, I think the responses were far less than what any law enforcement would do anywhere in the planet.
But do you think it was just homegrown, or not like there was involvement from outside also. Some big forces were involved into it. Do you think there were some big forces that were part of it?
It's not what I think. It is in the media, it's in the social media, and also if you hear what United States President of the United States, Donald Trump, has himself said, that US taxpayers' money was being channeled into unknown NGOs and organizations, and the government of the US didn't have a clue, at least the government that we know of, not the elements within it. They didn't know what was it being paid for. So he himself cast doubt on this kind of fundings. And it's not just us saying it, it's he himself saying it, And we've seen how Clinton Foundation has behaved post 5th of August, how they were celebrating the people who claimed that they have killed people, who had claimed. I mean, not once they have said there's need for reconciliation, there's need to investigate what has happened in terms of at least the killings that had happened, whether it was an innocent citizen or a police personnel or a political activist. None of them had actually asked for independent investigation. What they had done was an inquiry by an office of UN in which member states have no say. They have prepared a completely one-sided report, calling it a fact-finding report, although no official sanction was given from the UN headquarters, but some staffers at the Human Rights Office at Geneva had prepared this in collusion with UNOS. And if you look at the nexus here, it was the then Hillary family, which runs the Clinton Foundation. And we have been told that somehow certain elements within the State Department was also involved. The then ambassador of US in Bangladesh, Mr. Peter Haas, who after his resignation or his tenure, he had joined a company which has oil and gas concession inside Bangladesh, Accelerate Energy. Now, this is a clear case of conflict. Like, that man does not want to leave the country. He wants to stay there in order to complete the chaos that he had started in collusion with the Yunus regime. So it was, I will say, a privately funded mission where foreign mercenaries were involved, not just money. You've seen extremist elements in Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and some other outfits, Jamaatul, I think, Mujahideen or something, one of the extremist elements within Bangladesh, and they claim that they had they have given an answer to Sheikh Hasina's government for what she has done to their colleagues, their militant colleagues.
So during the entire events that were taking place, the name of one island was coming up again and again. That was the Saint Martin Island, and Sheikh Hasina herself has alleged that US sought to acquire the island for the military base. Do you think that was the reason? Because then Bangladesh government was not agreeing to it. That was the reason of whatever happened in Bangladesh?
You see, when it comes to dealing with the United States or any other country of that scale, of course there will be disproportionate and unreasonable demands on the smaller side of the bargain. So it's not just the US who would demand such a thing, but also if it was another large country. For example, we've heard that certain European countries wanted Bangladesh to buy Airbus planes. Of course, given the country's reserve situation, it wasn't possible. So whether these reasons played a part in their decision, I can't comment on that. I don't think these were exact reasons. These were not the main reasons. They were used to escalate the situation and to stop the administration from stopping their elements from acting on a regime change operation. So these were all bundled up to convince decision makers there that it is a government which is hostile to you, and therefore an attempt is being made to topple this government, so you need not intervene. We've had fantastic relationship with US government since the Obama time. 2 Obama administrations, 1 Trump administration. I mean, we had no issue. Every government that we had ran since 2009, we had fantastic relationship. We had bought aircraft from them. We had made we had investments from the US, Chevron and other large conglomerates into Bangladesh. It's not a US versus Bangladesh issue at that time. It was personal agenda of Yunus and Clinton family. And Mrs. Hillary Clinton, during her time when she fought the contest with Donald Trump, you've seen the emails which were disclosed where Mr. Yunus was privately donating to Hillary Clinton's campaign initiative, money taken out of Bangladesh without any consent from the Reserve Bank, the central bank. And he was involved in all kinds of money laundering in order to facilitate Mrs. Clinton. So it was a personal, almost a mercenary mission, I should say. So they were hired people, and the whole project was a mercenary mission.
When Muhammad Yunus took over, he was touted as someone who is unbiased and freedom-loving, and he will change the country. Whatever is happening, there will be so much improvement. But we are seeing what is happening there. There has been reported rise in communal violence and hate crime against minority. Number speaks for themselves. At least 2442 such incidents between August 2024 and June 2025 have occurred, according to a right group. How worrying is this, friend, and how do you see it?
You see, rights groups' data, I don't believe them. The reason being the number is too few. Rights groups are only reporting what is being reported in the media, and the media is not acting independently. The media is controlled, censored, and totally under the control of the current administration. So what the rights groups are reporting is literally almost 10% of what the real figures are. Okay, so it's the way the minority community is being treated in Bangladesh. It's not just as they are treated as second-class citizens. They are not even given basic rights to stay in the country, and they're being asked to leave. And that's what had happened for the first 3 to 6 months within the country. And the entire Hindu citizens of Bangladesh, they rose up, finally rose up, they protested, and they sent a message to the government that, we are not a small number. It is a country of 170 million people. Yes, it is. But the number of the Hindu population in Bangladesh is 1.2 million people. It is far more than some of the European countries' entire population, and it is not a small community. And with us, with the Hindu community, there are so many people who were in agreement that they were being persecuted, they were being brutalized. And besides the Hindu minority community, how about the women in the country? They are not allowed to go out there in public without what these chaos mongers and the religious extremists consider modest. So they're enforcing their dress codes, their moral codes on the girls, I mean, irrespective of her religion. And already we have seen that the positions of music teachers and physical education teachers, sports teachers have been abolished in primary schools from government schools. And they've changed the entire syllabus structure in schools to facilitate fake news, fake history, and their version of history of Bangladesh. And turning the whole country into another communal jungle, where just like in Pakistan, that's what they want to turn the country into. Because you see, Pakistan shares a border in one side of India, but Bangladesh is literally within India. It is surrounded by India. And if you can create successfully a hate-filled, a large portion of the citizens into hate-mongering communal beings, then it poses a major threat for the entire region, including India, of course. But I tell you one thing, Bangladeshis are not communal in their by their very nature. They are trying everything possible to turn the country into a battlefield of communal forces. But still they are not successful. They're not being successful. These forces are being resisted by even the religious scholars who find that, it is an attempt to destroy the sociocultural fabric of the country. And therefore, we are rising up now.
So, Mr. Chaudhary, you mentioned about forces trying to turn Bangladesh into Pakistan. What we are seeing right now, that is an irony. What happened in 1971 is not a secret. Everybody knows what kind of atrocities Pakistan committed. Then it was called West Pakistan. Uh, my question is to you: how do you see when now UNIS government is cozying up to Pakistan? Military officials are visiting Bangladesh, and there are talks to improve ties. How do you see it? Isn't it a what comes to your mind when you see this?
You see, we never had any. I mean, of course, from the very beginning, we had problem with Pakistan because they had stolen our foreign currency reserve. They weren't paying any kind of reparation. They weren't taking their stranded citizens, the Urdu-speaking Biharis in Bangladesh, back to Pakistan. So they weren't doing any of that. So relationship deteriorated from the very beginning. However, over the years, we came to tolerate each other. It was we had a bloody past, and we wanted to, of course, prosecute their generals and their officers. But under the Shimla Agreement between India, Bangladesh, Pakistan at that time, certain exemptions were given to their military personnel, so we could not prosecute them in our tribunals. However, later when we started the process of bringing the perpetrators of genocide into accountability and to justice, Pakistan had vehemently protested, started their ISI's activities within the country, clandestine activities, and not only after we had started the International Crimes Tribunal proceeding, but even before that, when BNP and Jamaat was ruling the country from 2001 to 6, they used Bangladesh as a transit point to export arms and weaponry and terrorism into India. For the whole 5 years, Bangladesh was literally a transit point for Pakistan's one of the major export abroad, which is terrorism. And we had put an end to that. And of course, they didn't like that. And because of these reasons, relationship was not good. I won't say good, but they weren't very forthcoming. They weren't very warm to us. So we were mutually, in agreement that, we can't do business with you. And in terms of trade relationship, it doesn't exist that much. In between Bangladesh and Pakistan, you have whole of India. And trade is just not possible between Bangladesh and India. There's not much to trade between us. Whatever trade we've had, it was done through the Dubai port or Singapore port or the Colombo port or whatever, the shipping trades that we had. But this government, after coming into power, this Yunus regime, suddenly out of nowhere, well, there was no public demand even. I mean, Bangladesh is not a country where Pakistan is warmly received across the society. It's not just, maybe in Dhaka, in certain elite quarters, they have that, romantic legacy of the Pakistan time amongst the Razakars or the collaborators or the beneficiaries of the Pakistani regime. But across the country, you will not find much sympathy for the country, for Pakistan. But out of nowhere, suddenly there is increased military cooperation. I mean, we know what Pakistani military is all about. It's just a front for the ISI. Pakistan militaries, most of the officials do serve in inter-services intelligence, which is their main military intelligence service, which is responsible for export of terrorism abroad. It's not just my word, it's the Americans have said that also. ISI was keeping bin Laden within Pakistan, and such an organization is now allowed to open desk in Bangladesh. So after our government had started its reign, Pakistan did not send their ISI officials anymore because their cover would be exposed. So, and now they're opening up their desks in Bangladesh. So for what reason? It's the sole purpose is to turn Bangladesh into a vassal state of the ISI. Yeah, and if these people, these so-called freedom of speech mongering, democracy-minded, human rights selling, these fancy quote-unquote revolutionary, I call them rioters, if they were so keen on human rights, why have they not said a single word on Imran Khan, who is the most popular politician in Pakistan, who is detained by this criminal intelligence service? And why have they not said anything about the civil society of Pakistan, who are fighting this extremist agency of their own country? Why have they not said anything about the people of Balochistan, who are in similar independence fight like the Bengalis have done in 1971? Of course, they don't want to say anything about them because they only want to cozy up to the extremist element of Pakistan, which is the ISI, which is the military, which is the Punjabi elite of Pakistan, which is exploiting Pakistan for the last 75 years. This is not about principles and values and friendship. It is about turning Bangladesh into a vassal state.
Mr. Chowdhury, when we talk about when the coup happened, there was a big demand about election, that election should happen immediately. The interim status of the government has raised question about its democratic legitimacy. Elections are in February. As of now, elections are in February. Awami League have been banned from the election. How do you view the credibility and future of the interim government? And are you in touch with any of the Awami League supporters? Are they planning to contest election independently? And do you have any other tactics to circumvent the ban?
You see, election is not election. For any election to be credible and to be accepted across the world, including to the people of Bangladesh, it has to be inclusive. They complained that during our time, we've held elections which was not inclusive. However, I should remind your guests here, in 2014, when we held one election, BNP and Jamaat and its allied parties, they actively boycotted and said, we will not take part. It wasn't that we banned them or we stopped them from taking part. They themselves decided they will not take part. In 2018, they took part. They then complained of rigging and an election not being appropriately held. Yeah, that was their complaint. But we did not ban a single party in Bangladesh from taking part in the elections. It was open for everyone. If you choose to take part, you are allowed, of course. If you choose not to take part, we're not going to force you. 2024, we held another election. The BNP boycotted it. They did not take part. Jamaat Islami boycotted it. But many independent candidates stood. In the parliament during that time, 68 MPs were elected who stood as independent candidates. So, I mean, it was more than number of BNP candidates which were elected in 2009 election, an election regarding which they have not much complaint about. So, and for us, they are banning us. They are proscribed. We are a proscribed organization. They've banned us from taking part in any political activism. Forget about election. So it is a collective punishment on the entire political ecosystem. I mean, it's not just Awami League that has been banned. Awami League has been banned legally. I mean, with a very stupid circular which has no consideration of the law that under which it was made. Awami League has been banned. But what about the other political parties? Jatiyo Party is not being allowed to do any kind of procession in the country. Then you have Workers' Party who had for many years 2 to 3 parliamentary seats in the parliament, directly elected by the people. Communist Party of Bangladesh. There are so many political, Bangladesh Socialist Party. There's so many left and right-wing political parties in Bangladesh who are now actively purged. So it's not just Awami League. So it's not a question of whether Awami League will attend or not. A large portion of our electorates are being disenfranchised by this one-sided election that they're planning to hold. So we are not going to let it go that easily. Our voters will actively boycott. And when I say actively boycott, I mean that it will not just be that silently they're not going to the polling stations. They will be protesting, of course, also. And protests could take many forms. It could be active protests and it could be silent protests as well. So we need to wait for the time of the election. And also, given the law and order situation right now, even the BNP politicians are now thinking whether it is a gimmick, whether it is a trap that the Yunus regime has set for themselves, whether it is a mirage to keep their hold on power for indefinite period of time. So there is no hope for an election, even if there is one, even if they have a government in place post that one-sided election, it's not going to be sustainable government, because it will not have the mandate of the majority of the people.
Mr. Chowdhury, India and Bangladesh always share this robust relationship. We had strong ties. How do you see now whatever is happening in Bangladesh? How do you see this relationship panning out in future, in coming days? What do you think about it?
You see, Bangladesh and India shares a tie which is not defined through just diplomatic relationship or political relationship. It's not just geography that surrounds us across Bangladesh, India being the country. It is the cultural tie, the linguistic tie, the spiritual connection with the whole region. We have Bengali ethnic people in Bangladesh as well as in India, in many states, not just one. We have linguistic ties with not just Bengali speakers in India, but also, in the neighboring regions such as Northeast India, Assam, and so on and so forth. We have religious ties, both Hindu and Muslim communities of Bangladesh have relatives on this side of the border, have pilgrimage sites in this side of the border and over there as well. People come from Bangladesh to India, even Muslims do, to visit the Sufi shrines which are in Ajmer, which are in Delhi, which are in different parts of India. They come for religious education, for medical service, for educational service, for many different reasons. And India and Bangladesh had this tie for a long time. We owe our existence to the people of India, to the defense forces of India. People have no issue with India and never had any. It is a small portion of our society, and unfortunately, they are now in charge of government. It is a section of Jamaat-e-Islami and a section of BNP and this Yunus party, the NCP gang. They are promoting a fake anti-Indian misinformation campaign, a disinformation campaign across the country. And through this, they're trying to agitate the people. People aren't bothered. People know that our dal comes from India, our chal comes from India. Even, we have to hold umbrella in Dhaka if there is rain in Meghalaya, because the water flows through Bangladesh. There's no way you can live without India, as India is across us. For everything, we are not just interdependent. We benefit from each other. So one of the major employers of Bangladesh, which is the RMG sector, the raw materials come from India. The mid-management level, the executives come from India, and they have done so well in Bangladesh. The industry has done so well thanks to collaborative effort from Indian executives, Sri Lankan executives, capital from Bangladesh, and raw materials from India, which is provided for jobs in Bangladesh. And we earn foreign currency out of it. So it is a beneficial relationship. It's not a one-sided relationship. India-Bangladesh relationship is not a one-sided relationship where one party is the colonial master, the other one is a satellite country. It's not like that. So, but these people, they have no commitment to the people of India, people of Bangladesh, and therefore they want maximum level of chaos, maximum extent of trouble. So that's what they're trying to do, because they have no public support. They need a cause, some sort of reason, excuse to stay in power.
My last question would be about Mr. Chowdhury. I know I have taken you a large amount of time. My last question would be about, we have seen that the interim government, we've read reports led by Mohammad Yunus, has sent a not verbal to India demanding Sheikh Hasina's return for judicial proceeding. How do you see this move, and how should India respond according to you?
Under international law, for this request to be entertained by any country, first of all, the prosecuting country has to prove that the trial that they're holding of the accused person is fair, is free, is non-biased, and it's not political in nature. The trial that Bangladesh, this interim regime, is holding against her is entirely political. It is entirely biased, and it is through an illegal amendment of the law. this government has no authority to amend the law. They have made some amendments for which they themselves lack jurisdiction. There is no parliament to change the law, but they've changed the law through a statutory order in the cabinet, which itself is questionable and totally illegal. An elected parliament can simply negate it, can simply not pass it, and therefore the whole trial will be questionable and illegal. So the very basis, the very beginning of this so-called trial is illegal. And therefore, no country on this planet will entertain this kind of request. Forget about fairness and procedural propriety and the other aspects of justice, and the individuals who are involved in prosecuting her are also the people who were in the defense of the war criminals who were indicted in the past. Whilst they were serving as defense lawyers of these individuals, they've now suddenly become prosecutors. Fundamentally unjust, absolutely illegal, and therefore Indian government, it's not just the Indian government, even if she went to the United States, the government there wouldn't even entertain it. So they're just trying to finger point it at India because that's where she is. For many different reasons, she's now staying in India. If she had gone to Europe, for example, they would never have even entertained this request ever. So now they have to, of course, say something against India, which is why they're now saying it. They know what they're doing is illegal. They know it will never be entertained by any country on this planet. But of course, they're doing whatever they feel like right now.